This is Kev. He's a pretty typical over 60s Aussie. Kev's got it pretty good. He and his wife Janine have finished work. They enjoy living in their comfy home. They love getting out and about. They enjoy their long walks and the odd dinner out. They visit the family at estate when they can. Janine is keen on her yoga and loves her classes. Kev's a bit of a punter and loves a flutter on the horses and investing at his local quite a bit. He loves catching up with the mates and he loves going to the footy. Kev and Janine know that things have gone pretty badly overseas with the pandemic, but overall, their lives haven't changed too much. They've been hearing lately that over 50's should be getting the AstraZeneca vaccination, but so far they haven't bothered. After all, there hasn't been too much to worry about here in Australia, and besides, what's all this about blood clots? It sounded a bit dodgy when it came out in the news. They do understand the importance of vaccination though. They remember that lots of Aussie kids before the 60s became crippled from polio, and it was vaccination that brought an end to all of that. And of course, there are many diseases that we don't have to worry about these days thanks to vaccination. Until recently, Kev and Janine have just been hanging out until the right time comes along. Time hasn't seemed to be an issue. They thought they just might wait a bit, maybe see what happens. A lot of Kev's mates are doing the same. Kev and Janine are good people though, and they like to understand what's going on, so when the talk about the jab came along, they decided to look into things a bit more. They found out some interesting stuff. First of all, what's this about the blood clots? They found out that in an extremely small percentage of Astra recipients, a condition known as TTS has occurred. It causes blood clotting and low blood platelet counts, and that can be serious. Kev wanted to know what type of risk it was for him and Janine to get the Astra jab. He's a punter after all. He likes to know the odds. Kev read the recent TGA safety reports, which said that it happens in about 1 in every 100,000 Astra recipients. It also said, apart from the single Australian case in which death was linked to TTS, COVID-19 vaccines have not been found to cause death. As a footy fan, Kev thinks of it this way. Here is the MCG on grand final day. Imagine it being filled to capacity with over 50's like Kev, but who have been vaccinated with AstraZeneca. See that Kev back there? Over there? No, there. Further over. No, further. There. Yes, there, that one. That Kev. In a chock-a-block MCG, only that Kev drew the short straw. That's it. And all but one of Australia's TTS cases has so far recovered. When it comes to the odds of getting crook, or worse, from TTS, Kev knows a long shot when he sees it. Another thing Kev and Janine were thinking about is this. There's usually not much COVID-19 in Australia to worry about. It pops up from time to time, sure, but things seem to get fixed up pretty quickly. So, a lot of people have been asking why bother getting the jab. But Kev and Janine have thought this one through too. They know that there have been quite a few close calls in Australia with the virus escaping into the community many times. Kev reckons, now that he's looked into it a bit, that we've been lucky to catch it each time, so far. We seem to have a pretty dopey system in place here. We depend on a loose collection of hotels that we try to seal off from the rest of us, even though they were designed for having people come and go, not for keeping viruses in. When infected people enter the country, we have a leaky dam wall to hold the virus in there with them. But now and again, the virus gets out, and it's a sneaky bugger. Just how long can we keep plugging the holes? What if the leaky dam eventually breaks? Kev listened to this bloke who seems to know a thing or two about it.
I think we'll have small outbreaks and they'll get bigger and eventually we'll lose control and it will spread. That's happened in the past. It happened, for example, in 2009 with the H1N1 pandemic. And at some point we will lose control. Once we get above a certain critical number, the virus will spread and we won't be able to contain it.
That worried Kev. What happens if the virus gets out and he and Janine haven't had the jab? He knows that's not a good spot to be in. If it was one of the newer strains, that could be very bad. He's heard that the Indian strain is about 3 or 4 times more infectious than the original one. So, rampant infection and no protection for himself, his family and friends. Kev knows a bad news story when he hears it. And if it did spread, and infections went crazy like they have in plenty of other places, how bad would it be? Remember that MCG full of Kevs? Now, imagine it chock-a-block full of unvaccinated Kevs and all infected with COVID-19. If it was just the original strain, from this one crowd, there would be more than 20,000 Kevs fronting up to hospital. 5,000 would end up in intensive care, and 1,700 Kevs would unfortunately have enjoyed their last cold beer. And even if they get through, there could be about 30,000 COVID-19 long hauler Kevs. These Kevs may take months or even years to shake the symptoms they've picked up. The fuzzy-headedness, the fatigue and lethargy, the loss of taste and smell. Some Kevs may even develop a cardiac or pulmonary condition, or even need dialysis. Kev's worked out that in this situation, life would change for him and Janine pretty massively. All that stuff they like to do, well, they wouldn't be doing much of that. So Kev and Janine have done the smart thing. They've had a good think about things and have weighed it all up. To jab or not to jab? Jab? Or no jab? As a punter, Kev's worked out that he's got too much to lose by betting that he and Janine will be just fine doing nothing. That sounds like a bet that he doesn't want to take. He and Janine will be doing something about it, and quickly. The virus won't be waiting around for them. They want to protect themselves and everybody else while they still can. It's the only way. So Kev has a message for his mates the next time he heads down to the local for a refreshment. Get off your ass, get a jab, get a life.